So are programming books actually useful for learning to code, or are they outdated now? Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm Kay. Now, I've come across these massive fat manuals full of coding syntax, and I'm kind of just flicking through it, and pretty much from the day it's printed, it's already, some sections of it will be out of date. Versions of coding language, there's always new ways to do things as the language has more updates to it. So for example, in .NET, I use C#, there's always updates to how you're going to be doing things. And usually I found that it's not very effective to kind of just sit there and read the book. I prefer online resources such as Code Academy, or anywhere where it's got kind of like an online sort of IDE where you can kind of practice the syntax, practice some basic functionality, all of that stuff. But that's not to say that books are completely useless by any means. It depends on what you want to use it for. So if it's just purely from learning syntax, the basics of a coding language, I'd say it's not really the best way to go. You're probably better off using online resources, online courses. But I found that there are some books that have been really, really beneficial for me in terms of developing as a software developer, and in terms of really engaging me in some of these more deeper concepts. So specifically what I found very, very useful are books that teach concepts such as solid principles, and applying those concepts in an engaging way with different examples. So I've started reading a book called Clean Code by Uncle Bob. It's a really, really highly recommended one. And just straight away from the very first paragraph, or very first sentence even, it's really, really engaging. It talks about, why clean code is so important, and it goes in depth into each of these solid principles such as dependency inversion, and kind of gives you a history and backstory of what used to happen. So not only does it kind of go into the advantages of applying these principles, it also kind of goes into the disadvantage of in the absence of these principles in kind of like quite humorous ways, which is quite surprising for a programming book. You wouldn't really expect it to be humorous, but I guess part of what makes it really amazing, really engaging, and why I recommend the book as well. And another use case of books that I found is one that I've been reading is Headfirst into Design Patterns, and that's a really, really good book because like I've said before in some of my previous videos, where when you're kind of like a beginner programmer or a junior, mastering things like design patterns, knowing when to apply a design pattern. So for those of you who aren't aware, design pattern is essentially a kind of industry-wide accepted solution to a really common problem, and there's loads of different well-defined design patterns, and they all have their kind of own use cases, but just kind of being aware of them and knowing when to apply them is really, really useful. So Headfirst into Design Patterns gives you some really, really good scenarios where design pattern would be useful, some backstory on how it kind of developed, and again, it's something that will really accelerate you as a developer when you start to apply it effectively. So myself, it's what kind of helped me bridge that gap from being a junior up into progressing into where I am right now. So yeah, just to summarize, I would say that, books are as effective as you make them to be. And whether it is, you learning syntax or concepts, you should try and supplement it from other resources. But I've personally found books to be most effective when it's covering concepts, not so much, syntax or language-specific stuff. So Headfirst into Design Patterns, Clean Code, there are loads of other really, really good books out there. So at the end of the day, when you are building programs and you want to build programs correctly, you want to understand, how to build loosely coupled applications, apply solid principles such as, dependency injection. And I found that understanding these concepts, these books have really, really helped me get a good grasp of it in an engaging way. Again, you can learn these concepts online. There's nothing against using online resources. I've just found that, when it comes to programming books, it is quite daunting looking at these massive manuals, and I found that these quite slim, nice, concise books that are quite engaging to be really helpful in improving my understanding of these concepts. So yeah, that was just my summary, guys, what I think of books. Do let me know what you think, if there are any good programming books that you recommend, but please do like and subscribe to support the content as well if you found this useful. Share it with anyone who you think might find it useful, and I'll see you guys in the next video. See ya.